Jeff Lang, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Good to be talking with you again, Greg.
Wasn't that long ago, a few months ago, that you were our Musician of the Month. And in that interview, I think might have even been the first public announcement of your album, More Life.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, and here we are, Friday, October 4th. It's coming out.
that's right. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been really looking forward to getting the record out, and so it's good that it's finally happening.
Yeah. So, how long had this been an idea in your head?
The album's been made over the course of about 3 years, I think, or maybe even slightly more. The first song recorded for, or the first two songs with Fitz and Cara were recorded maybe 4.5 years ago, and then there was a gap before I did anything further. Then the song with John Butler was the next one that was recorded. So, yeah, sort of maybe a couple of years after that. So, yeah, I think it's been about, yeah, I mean, the actually thinking about it in terms of doing a whole album this way, about the last 3 years. The recordings with Hatfits and Cara, I thought maybe I'll put those out as a standalone 7-inch single or something, limited edition or something like that. But then once I'd sort of talked to John about recording one of the songs that we'd written together, then I started thinking, well, okay, that's a couple of people now. Maybe I should look at doing some more of this stuff. So I started contacting people, and it just, takes a bit of time, a bit more of a Tetris puzzle doing this type of album than a usual one.
You wrote the songs with each collaborator and then
Yes.
recorded them. Were you in the same room, writing and recording with all of them?
Yeah, it was a different process with each song. Let's see, More Life, the title track with Kerri Simpson. She sent me a set of words, and then I came up with a tune and sent that back to her. I just sort of sung a sketch of it with her words and said, "What do you think of this?" And she went, "Oh yeah, I like that." And then we really just got together on the day of recording with Ray Pereira and just actually maybe actually we did get it together a couple of days ahead of time, the two of us, and just nutted out exactly how we were going to do the duet, and we ended up doing harmony all the way through. Um, the song with Liz Stringer, "The Other Side of Life," that was a song where I'd started the idea, sent it a few versions of it to her, and just and then she picked the one she liked the best, and then we went from there, just sort of passing it um, backwards and forwards between us, and yeah, finished it off at the end with the two of us together in a room with the guitars. But then, yeah, I think about the song with Suzannah Espie, "The Long Grass," that we literally did just, she lives very nearby, and I just wandered round to her place with a guitar, and we sat down and just, we'd both started on an idea, and both the idea that she'd started on worked as a chorus for the idea that I'd started on being the verses, and then we just sat there and finished it. I don't think there was a case where I sat down with someone where we just had blank page in front of us. In each case, there was something started at least. Um, you know, the song with Fred Leone, "Fortune to Come," that was some lyrics that I'd started on. And then when I got together with Fred, we looked at them, and there was, we ended up replacing some of the stuff that I had, but it was the basis for starting the song. We both, worked out the tune and wrote the lyrics together. The songs with Don Walker were both songs where I'd written lyrics and sent them to him, and he came up with a tune for them. So yeah, it was just a different process for each song.
Yeah. Why was More Life going to be the title track? Was it always going to be the title track?
No, that only really was once the album was made. Then I had to start thinking of what might be a title, and so there's a few ways you might have a title in mind all along, but I did not. So you look at the song's lyrics and then the song's titles and see if there's anything that jumps out. And More Life seemed to fit, and it was an uncharacteristically positive sounding, optimistic sounding album title for me. And so, yeah, my
Yeah.
management, they were really relieved that I come out with something that wasn't my usual bleak and glum sounding album titles.
Like one of the Don Walker song.
Yeah, they didn't call the album "Adults Are Full of Shit." That wouldn't have been polite.
Seek High with John Butler's very moody track. The last time I interviewed John about 4 months ago, he was coming out of a very tough period emotionally, and he was in a period of healing. What was that writing experience like with John? Was that reflective of the music?
Well, I mean, it probably predates what you're talking about because that song was actually written um, a fair while back.
Okay.
We actually got booked to do a TED talk thing together, and we both went, I don't want to just talk up there. Should we? Maybe we'll just write a couple of songs and we'll do those, and that'll mean we don't have to talk. And then we ended up talking between those songs and carrying on like a couple of idiots. But yeah, he's a great guy, man. He's really good fun, a funny man, which people might not necessarily know, you know. But he's a very funny guy and great sense of humor, and I always have a great laugh hanging with John. We wrote, we actually started that the day we wrote that song. We had a song of John's, an idea that he'd started, and we finished that together. So that song was like, more than half John's, and I just sort of helped him finish it. And then at the end of the day, when we'd finished that song, I had this other idea for a musical riff, which the riff that happens in Seek High. And I was just playing it. I had, a couple of microphones set up to record this other song idea, and I still had it recording. And as I was playing that riff, John just ad-libbed the chorus of the song. And so I was listening to it back the next day, and I thought there's something to that chorus. That sounds good. And so I wonder if I can come up with some words for that. And then I just went on it, just got an idea and a flow going, and just wrote down the lyrics for the verses for the song. And it all kind of came out of hearing John sing that chorus. And then, once we got together, we kind of worked out exactly how the melody might go in the verses and things like that. But yeah, that was how that one went. So no, it wasn't really related to what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm glad that he's coming out the other side of that anyway. He's a great guy.
Yeah. The Other Side of Life with Liz Stringer, to me, could easily have been a Neil Young and Crazy Horse song. Was that a reference at all?
Oh, look, I love Neil's electric guitar playing. Always have. I love his sound. He gets this great, massive, somehow distorted but also clean sounding, somehow magic guitar sound. And I love how he plays. I mean, he's not like a hot shot guitar player, but he never plays guitar licks. It's always just melody with Neil. So that's how his guitar sings. He just plays melody, sings through his instrument. So I love it. And so yeah, it on a song like that one, I can't help but draw on a bit of keeping it Neil, you know. And then Liz was I wanted to have a real wig out guitar song with Liz because I love her guitar playing, and I thought that would just be a fun thing to do, to have a song where at the end of it we just go off on a journey and and just both converse on the guitars for a while, and it was great. It kind of reminded me of, I don't know, if maybe Tom Verlaine from television was jamming with Crazy Horse, with Liz being Tom and me being Neil. It was something like that. But that was really only listening to it later. I thought, it kind of sounds like that. It wasn't like we thought it through in advance. That would be a little bit too bold and scary. But yeah, the influence can't help but come out when I play electric guitar a little bit. There's always a bit of Neil in there.
Yeah. I was speaking to Dan Cully the other day about an Australian sound, the sound of a thousand miles of nothing, which can be found in some Midnight Oil songs and some Icehouse, Cruel Sea. And I also
Yeah.
found that a little bit in William Crichton's music, and it's certainly apparent in the track Hands. Is that something you were conscious of?
William just has that quality. I don't think you need to really sort of contrive that sort of thing. It's either there or it isn't. And yeah, he does have that quality. It is a very Australian sound with William. Yeah, I mean, we just wrote the song, and it comes out like it comes out. But with any of these people, I'm naturally going to be leaning towards them, and they're going to be leaning towards me, and we meet somewhere in the middle, hopefully. And so yeah, his sound is certainly steeped through that track, and yeah, it comes out.
Yeah. Fred Leone has a great voice. At first, I thought
Sure does.
it reminded me of Eddie Vedder a little bit from Pearl Jam. How far back do you
Right.
how far back do you and Fred go?
Actually, we only met up to write the song together and record it. We hadn't met before then, and yeah, great guy and really natural songwriter. It just was very easy writing that song. I had the start of an idea for the lyrics, but we just sat down together and wrote stuff and worked out melodies and played around on the Irish bouzouki and came out with the tune. It was very free and easy. He's a really talented guy. It was great getting to know him, and what a voice! Yeah,
Yeah.
powerful performer too. That stuff he does with birds. Wow. Mm.
Yeah. Calling me back home with Vari Jorwan. Is that how you pronounce his surname?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's the other part of the title. Yes, yeah. That's with Asin Khan Langa. Mm.
yeah. A lot going on from a fretted instrument perspective. Did that take longer to get through than other tracks?
No, no. I mean, it was a little bit of recording by correspondence on that one. That's the initial tracking with Bobby Singh on tabla, myself on the slide guitar, and us in singing and playing the sarangi, or the Sindhi sarangi, which is the Rajasthani version of their violin. That was we did that together, and there was gaps left where I would sing. And then I added my vocals, and I also sent it, and Danny McKenna played some drum kit, and I sent it over to Debashish Bhattacharya, who's another one of my heroes. Who, when it comes to playing lap slide guitar, he's, you know, there's no best, but if there is a best, it's Debashish. He's just extraordinary. So he recorded his parts in Kolkata and sent them back, and it was an honor to have that guy play on the song. A little bit intimidating to be playing slide guitar and then have Debashish. So I made sure that he played after me, so I didn't have to follow him.
Your collaborators have all been an influence on you in some way. Was it difficult to narrow it down to just these people? I'm sure you could easily do a volume two of this album.
Yeah, at a certain point with any record, you've got to just pick a moment to stop, and then it's done. And I guess that's how albums are released. You finally just go, okay, you're free, because you could just keep going. So yeah, at a certain point, I just had to sort of look at where it felt like the songs that we'd recorded felt like a complete record to me, and that was where I stopped. So that's kind of how I judged that. Yeah, there's certainly other people who I would have liked to have um, to done something with, but you can't just keep going forever. So I just had to stop, and I was very grateful that the people who agreed to take part did, because they each really contributed. They really delivered the goods.
Yeah. The tracks are with many different kinds of artists, yet the album sits together as a whole really well. And I
Oh,
guess
good.
the constant is your playing and your singing. But was there a thought that maybe it could be an unconnected thing?
It's always a possibility, but I just kind of have like I do with my own songwriting. I just sort of figure the influences will come out the way they come out. And if one song's a bit bluesier, and if another song's a bit folkier, if something else is a bit more world music, something else is a bit more rock and roll, it'll all end up kind of working together because it's me singing and playing. So I just try not to worry about that. And I guess it was the same sort of thing here. I figured, like you say, that me being present on each song, that will be enough connective tissue running through it. So it'll make sense. A lot of that's in the track sequencing too, I think. Even though, some people think that the album is dead as an art form, I still think in terms of how the whole album will fit together, song to song. So I think that's part of how it can work, is working out the right running order.
Yeah. Yeah. You played the Adelaide Guitar Festival with some of these artists. How was that experience?
Oh, that was a great night. Yeah, I had Kerri Simpson and Fitz and Cara Robinson and William Crighton, along with Danny McKenna on drums and Ben Franz on bass as the rhythm section for the whole night. So that was the first one of these shows, and it was great. It really worked out, where at the start of the night, we were all up there together, and then through the course of the night, people would come and go, step forward and front the band for some songs, and then leave, and then come back later to back someone else on their songs. And yeah, it was a really fun experience, and that's the kind of show that I'm going to be doing on the tour. Just with William Crichton is going to be there at just about every show, apart from one, and then at the others, certain places like John Butler's going to join us for the Perth show, which will be fantastic. And Fitz and Cara will join us in Queensland for a couple of shows. But at the very least, you'll have William and me at all the shows. And at various points, he'll be backing me on some of my songs. I'll be backing him on some of his and so on. So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and you'll have a band as well.
Yes, yes. Danny is going to be there on drums. Ben Franz is going to be at the shows on bass, except for the last 3 weekends where he already was committed to something. And then Michael Vidal, who plays bass on the songs with Don Walker, he's in Don's band. And so he very graciously stepped in to play those last 3 weekends. So that'll be fun too, because he's great, great guy, great player. So yeah, that's the format.
Yeah. So heading towards the end of the year, the tour goes up until early December.
Mm.
How's your 2025 looking?
It's a little bit hazy at the moment. I tend to sort of think in these blocks of, getting an album finished and then there's the album tour and there's things that are getting organized, but, for next year, but I haven't really looked at that too much. I mean, I have got some more songs written for, potentially another album project next year. We'll see how things pan out. I've got a bit of a concept in mind of what I'd like to do. I think I spoke to you about that in that last interview, but I haven't really put anything in place around that. I'm not completely sure I've got a full album's worth of new songs, so I just want to keep writing and see what happens.
Well, the album's called More Life. It's out Friday, 4th of October. It's been great to catch up again, Jeff.
Yeah, great talking with you again, Greg. Thanks a lot for your time, mate.